I just want to start with saying history has shown that whenever there are big changes and disruptions, there are three reactions that we generally see. One is adopt and lead the change. Second is adjust to the change. And the third one is a denial, which eventually converts into adoption at some stage. We're going through massive disruptions globally, and many of these disruptions are making structural changes in the ecosystem. This is bringing a change in the way consumers behave, and therefore it's very important to look at what are the dynamics and how are they going to shape up tomorrow. I think the world is recovering out of pandemic, and as things were moving, we were hit by other different forces of inflation, which definitely impacts consumers' sentiments, their demands, and their behavior. And of course, the big thing was all about lockdowns in China, which impacted the global supply chain, and therefore a lot of things of product demand and supply got impacted. And third was, to top it up, was all about Russia and Ukraine war, which definitely impacted the crisis in the energy sector. With all these disruptions, we see that the ecosystem, enterprises, consumers, they're going through own changes and how it's going to really impact the businesses. GfK did a global study which is all about understanding the mood of the world. And if you see the top two concerns, and we looked at the different concerns across political, social, and economical, the top two concerns are definitely about the disruptions that I spoke about. And the third and the fourth is all about lifestyle. Whether will I have enough money? And the fourth is all about, do I have a safe environment in which my generation can live? So you could see that with these disruptive forces, there are certain concerns that are coming up, and as we move forward, you'll see how this is really impacting consumers' behavior. The next round of disruption is what I call Industrial Revolution 4.0. This revolution is the biggest one that this generation would ever see, with sensors, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, Web 3.0, and many others that are coming up. This is another, I would say, a big transformation the world is going to see in terms of the digital change. And what's really leading this big disruption is something which is in everybody's pocket today, somewhere, and it's probably on the table or in the hands, is smartphone. And if I look at India as a market, approximately 140 to 150 new smartphone users are being added every year. And what does this mean? That we are really preparing or making digital first, smartphone first generation. And the number speaks, 400 plus million WhatsApp users. And look at the kind of different parts of our life this is being impacted. So this tool in our hand is making a big impact in the way consumers are going to change. The next thing, we were under lockdown in 2020, and after that, this whole concept of future of work started. There was a concept of lockdown, and there was return back to office, and the future of work is said to be hybrid work mode. Now, this is a stage where everybody is getting used to transitioning from a physical to virtual and back in a seamless way. And this is kind of setting expectation that when consumers are in reality moving around from a physical to virtual way in their own workspace, this is going to create a new demand and a new setup for the consumers. And to top this up, what we see is something which is all about smart appliances, smart devices. The world is going to get even more connected, and so are going to be the devices and appliances. And this is another lever which is impacting digitally and virtually movement of the consumers. And I think the evolution of consumers is reaching a really next level where new agendas are being added when they really evaluate What are they going to watch? What are they going to consume? And what are the things that they're going to look at? This is all about sustainability and environment. And therefore, when I see from a very simple aspect of consumers, the decision-making process and the understanding of the consumers were easy, today it is not even, it's not getting less complex. And therefore, it brings a new set of questions for marketeers of how do we really engage this set of emerging consumers amongst all the disruptions. And what is interestingly coming is that a big chunk of consumers are saying they want to be seen with the technology. They want to be using technology, and they want to be using something which is more virtual. They're okay to deal with non-human interface. They're okay to really use IoT devices to make their work easy. And the context is that with this whole development, data analytics is playing a very important role. And what it means is it is really giving consumers something where a more personalized approach for them. And therefore, this is even being appreciated. Where say if I can get more personalized recommendations, this is going to be making my life easy. And therefore, what we see is the disruptions that are leading to a lot of digital adaptations is really moving things into virtual element. And therefore, what I say is virtual is going to become indispensable. Consumers are going to look at technology. Consumers are going to look at digital means. And I think their aspiration is also saying, while I want to do a virtual shopping, they are really happy looking at doing virtual conversations. So this is really setting up a stage for the topic that we are going to be discussing throughout the day, which is on the metaverse. Another aspect of virtualization is this advanced level of augmented reality and virtual reality, where there are devices which actually gives far more impetus and give you a very different immersive experience. And it's all said that this whole market is really bubbling. And of course, this starts with something which is, the first step is the gaming. Gaming is something which is really fueling this AR and VR environment. And the second thing is all about extended reality. There were the days when everybody said, I need a touch and feel to really make a decision. Extended reality is another version where they are able to go through touch and feel experience with this kind of extended reality. And therefore, this is setting up a good stage, a prepping stone for the consumers to move to the next level, which is metaverse. And some of the live use cases, I think, that are available of Snapchat, where somebody could actually look at the outfits in different colors and forms. You can look at cars and there are many use cases like this. What does it mean? This is nothing new now. The consumers are becoming used to really explore things digitally, virtually, get a feeling, and then really make a decision. So things are kind of moving in the right direction from that perspective. And here comes the metaverse. In 1982, this was Neil Stevenson, in his novel, he kind of sounded out this concept of metaverse. And now we are sitting in 2022 where this is very much a reality. There has been significant investments. Different sizes are being floated for the size of this metaverse market and the kind of growth rates it's going to see. This is something where companies like Facebook, Microsoft, and many of these have really invested. And it's going to see how this pans out. There are numbers of 1 trillion plus business and the size of this metaverse. And that would mean that from now to then in next 5 years, this is going to really become all pervasive. While it is today at a niche stage, it is in the beginning, innovation. I would say in next 5 years, this is going to become all pervasive. And therefore, if I look at aspiration levels of consumers, they are really willing to go into this immersive experience, and they want to try out things in a virtual environment. And to top it up, while everybody aspires to have physical assets, there is an increasing desire to acquire digital assets, NFTs, outfits for your avatars. And this is nothing new. While it might have sounded 20 years back something really in the books, today it is real, and there are many use cases that I see happening around. And what it means is that work, education, shopping, entertainment, everything will have and will actually move into a metaverse. And therefore, we are going to really create this environment of a physical world and a replica of physical world, which is metaverse. Some of the use cases, while this thing is coming up largely in the markets like US, China, Korea, these are the markets where the metaverse is a leading stage. And of course, as I say, it's an early stage. It is going to change every day for next 5 years. And therefore, will be every new discovery that one would see. The top four, industries, and I would first say that, it was adopted by luxury and the premium brands. And the top four industries are definitely automotive, mobility. The second one is entertainment. Third is all about lifestyle, food and beverages. So these are the industries where globally we see a good momentum. And the good thing is, even in India, we see early signs where some of the companies in the auto space, I could name Mahindra and Mahindra, I could look at MG Motors, Continental. These are the companies where there are some point of use cases around metaverse, trying to engage with the customers. Of course, entertainment is something where Daler Mendi did his show of the virtual show. That was the first of its kind. We have Tanishq, which is again creating a virtual environment and a metaverse environment. So I think the way to look at it is that this whole metaverse thing is becoming real. While this is more of a Western phenomena, this is being adapted in India. And with all the disruptions and the levers that I mentioned about smartphone first, digital first, virtual behavior, India is also known for leapfrogging things. And therefore, we should be prepared as marketeers of how do we really find our consumers when they move into this. How do we really provide this experience of moving from a physical to virtual and again back? And if I were to comprehend with this, the famous Netflix series of Stranger Things. So there is a real world, and the same replica is a virtual world, and people move around. And what it means is there's going to be a considerable shift in the ad spends in metaverse over a period of next 5 years. And therefore, this will also create opportunities for players in the space of tech, in the space of digital assets, in the space of content, creator economy, and many other things. So this is going to be ever evolving. The consumer is getting ready for it. It's time that brands acknowledge this and start preparing themselves at their own pace, depending on the stage of the business you are in. And definitely, because many organizations have already started moving in that direction. So who's going to be really the consumer that we are going to influence for metaverse? We're talking about global population and 1.9 billion of Gen Z, almost 1.8 billion of millennials. And these are the two big set of consumers who are early adopters and who are the ones who are going to be really driving this kind of change. And there are certain live examples and live use cases which actually reconfirms that the Gen Z and millennials are driving and leading the change of first-timers for everything. And when we look at social commerce, that's where you will see a big proportion of consumers coming from the Gen Z and the millennials. And that's something marketeers are really going to be important to really engage and influence them where they are. If they're in the physical world, one needs to engage there. If they're in the virtual world of metaverse, that's where one needs to kind of engage. And therefore, what's really important is a few elements of metaverse, which is around creators economy. I think this will give more openness. It will actually bring in interoperable platforms so that, as a creator, one is able to kind of broadcast across. This is going to be one important aspect. The second is all about blockchain. I think with so much of right now platform specific things, there could be certain blurred information, there could be some black holes. What is blockchain going to do is make it far more transparent. It's going to bring trust. If one could actually really look at all the transactions and behaviors that one is doing in the Web 3.0. And third is, which is going to really fuel, is all about real-time analytics. And this is so, that's where I'm talking that when a considerable shift happens in the advertisements being shifted to this in next 5 years, the real-time analytics will play a very important role. The measurement would be then and there. We don't have to wait for things. And this will say what the engagements that I'm doing in the metaverse, are they really giving me ROI? So overall, I think it's a new game where there will be kind of players who will take opportunity and bring in, tech players will kind of bring the technology. We will have the creators who will kind of bring the content. And that's kind of also the third would be a bigger challenge of how do you make this experience seamless and also engage with the customers during this transition. I think that's something very important when we look at metaverse. And as I said earlier, that this is going to change every day. And therefore, there will be newer ways in which we engage with the customers. And therefore, it makes life even further more complex for the marketeers when things are changing at this pace in the metaverse. I would like to kind of sum up with three things that I said, that there are disruptions that we see in the ecosystem, which are really changing the way enterprises set up their businesses. There are disruptions that are shaping up the new expectations of consumers. There are disruptions that are changing behaviors. And there are disruptions like metaverse, which is actually creating a complete different set of world where the marketeers need to really get engaged over there. The second one is all about consumer, I call it evolution/revolution. So the first generations of industrial revolution we saw, this I call it more of an evolution. When I look at industrial 4.0, that is where the real revolution is happening. And now in next 2 decades, the speed at which the changes are going to happen, that's where things are going to get much more exciting, interesting, and complicated as well with the changing consumer things. And therefore, while it's a new thing today, metaverse is definitely a game for tomorrow. So I say that it's not a question of if I get into metaverse. It's a question of when do I get into metaverse. And therefore, the marketeers really need to start looking at this as an opportunity where the consumer is going to be there. And especially we spoke about 1.9 billion Gen Z, which is going to be big disruptors. So we are looking forward to a lot of different views on metaverse, but this is surely a very interesting topic for all of us and really exciting time coming in front of us. Thank you very much.